All right, so I should probably name this video I'm Not Smarter Than You, and here's why. Yes, this has been a really interesting experience this morning. Where do we start? Probably we want to start with our ChatGPT interface. So if we go to the top, basically what I tried to do this morning. When did I start getting angry? Okay, we got some transcripts. This is from yesterday. All right, so then we had to choose the technology stack. YouTube. Oh, I had a problem with. Now I got to be honest with this. I did some work with the marketing section. So yesterday I put in the transcript of the video from, the previous video, and so there was kind of it did certain things in the past. So I don't know. So it gave me this summary, and I was like, "What's going on? Did you complete the task?" I was like, I don't even know what to say, because suddenly the summary is just not. It's not coming out like it did before. So I guess my assumption is that there was some coding in the background of ChatGPT yesterday that has been changed for today, because suddenly today, I'm not getting responses as it used to, one little paragraph. And then I tried to get it to not even close. I was like, please point out which summary will be used for YouTube and which will be used for LinkedIn. How did you optimize your summary for each platform? Also, I'm the speaker. So it's still this little summary. It stopped making these emojis. Whoa, it's getting worse. I was like, what is happening? Before it was easy, right? So could you list the principles you're using to decide on how to create and optimize each of the posts, and then tell me principles that you could use to create posts that will perform better and be much more engaging and exciting for users to read? Then create new posts based on the new and better principles. Principles you're using now are creating very weak content, especially the YouTube posts where I already asked you to provide a much longer summary. So then it goes through these principles, provide an overview. Anyways, you can read. So, and then, it gives me basically the same content. And I'm like, I can't understand why your responses today are so different than previous. And then it doesn't do anything. So can you give me a summary of the topics covered in the transcript as if I were a teacher and helping CEO see how I'm framing and the development process of creating an MVP and thinking about how to connect it to a target market and the marketing principles that I'm introducing. So, okay. So in the transcript, the speaker discusses the process of creating a minimal viable product. So now it goes through the actual content. I guess this was from the video from this morning. So when I talked about some different aspects of marketing and the target market and things like that. So I just feel suddenly the responses I'm getting are whoa, they don't feel so smart as they did before. And then we got a little rocket. Look at the posts from the last couple of days on LinkedIn. It's crazy. It's there's rockets everywhere. Now I get one rocket. So I'm more specific. Can you give me at least 5 paragraphs? Because they had I don't know, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how many points they had, but so I would say developing marketing messages is very different than even yesterday. Now, the development experience was quite challenging, and how would I explain this development experience? I would explain it as basically okay, so I'm learning a language, and it's also trying to learn my language, I guess. Are we trying to learn from each other? I can't really figure it out. Is this from yesterday or today? So okay, this was some earlier steps. So I just started like putting together some of this. To open settings, you can use the text editor. Okay, so basically this is where I'm like, okay, so it wants me to start doing stuff. I would say I definitely learned a lot today. So like I'm much more proficient at a few things. So let's just talk about like if I want to create some kind of file, there's a couple of ways I can do it. Now, basically, I think the easiest way is likely to open up this file. Now, how do I open it? You see? So how do you open a file? Now, I think it's probably the best way to open the file is using the Video Studio Code. Now, I'm going to put myself, all right, we'll put us over here. Now let's close up all these windows. So basically, the first thing I want to do is open a folder. Like, let's say I want to create an HTML page. Or if I want to create, let's say I'm in the static file and I want to create a CSS file. I guess for a style guide, which is going to be opened with, with the Tor browser. Templates, performance app. All right. So we're going to open the folder. Oh, what happened? I just clicked something. I'm going to just click cancel. Open a folder. Now, all right, so let's go to the templates, performance app. And if I wanted to, so I'm going to open up this folder. Now, after the folder is opened, then we have these things up here. So I can create a file or I can create another folder. So I learned how to create a folder basically. Or a file, and I created a bunch of files. So, and then if you want to open up these, you have to remember to like open it with the Visual Studio Code. So now there were some weird questions that I tried to work through today. Okay, how to create the file and the performance of it. Yeah, see, I didn't know how to create a file at this point, but now I get it now. Now the thing is, like, I'm always asking it to like just give me like all of the code because it's so hard for me to like. I don't want to try to recognize a pattern in that much new information, and then if I paste it wrong or if I do something wrong. So is that all the code that should appear in the respective files? Give me all the code for those files as they should appear up to this point. So they're like, okay, fine, I'll give you all of the code. How to. So keep in mind, you will also need to create the home view. So I didn't realize that the home view in the views file. So if we go into the views file, views. Okay, that's a different thing. So here's the views file, but at least I know now what I should be doing is I got to open it first. And then, okay, so now we have all this code. And I haven't got to the point where I'm like willing to read this and like try to figure out what it means. So, yeah, so it's just exactly what I just did. So I open it in the editor and then you're going to copy and paste the code. So then I needed to create the template for the HTML file. So template. So this is where I created this this templates folder, and then the performance app, and then the home HTML, and then you paste the code into that thing. Is there a faster way or more automated way to do this work? It's so difficult to understand your instructions. I have no experience. Now, this crazy guy, he tells me to use Django cookie cutter. So after I start playing with it for a while, then suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, this is like really difficult. Like I have no idea what these prompts mean. and then it's trying to tell me what the prompts mean. I'm like, okay, do you have all the cookie cutter options and the meaning of each option? I told you I don't have any experience, and you gave me a task which requires experience. So it only gets to like point number 4. So it's not like actually telling me all of the points of the cookie cutter, which I thought so there's this huge difference between the expectation of what I'm going to get with my request, which means what? Which means that my natural programming language, the commands that I'm using through my text, they're not specific enough. Because and even when I think that I'm saying something specific, it's not. I think there must have been something in the code yesterday that's been changed where it's like it would basically give you much more than you're asking, even if it was wrong. And now if it's going to be wrong, then it will give you much less, or if it has to guess. And so at this point, you may have to add extra prompts to be like, oh, well, if you're missing some information, then just provide, I don't know. So I have to do a lot of things to understand what I want more clearly, and then to be able to express it more clearly. And then also to understand how am I going to express it in a way that GPT can understand. I like the term GPT because it's like GPS. We got GPT, GPS. This concept chat. Okay, chat what? GPT. Are you using GPT for what? I use GPS to get me where I'm going. I use GPT to whatever, It's just a tool. It's not smart right now. This is not even coming close to my expectations, and I think it's actually getting worse. Which means what? So it means that I have to get better. I mean, because you can't really blame the equipment. You just have to you have to mold yourself to the equipment, and then probably the equipment will slowly change over time. But at this point, it's really tough. So I want you to be my beginner tutor. Yeah, it's maybe you should be using Bubble. Yeah, maybe you should go. I want you to be my beginner tutorial teacher and continue guiding me through the setup process from where we left off using the best setup options. This is so unclear. Using the best setup options. What is that? Best? Doesn't make any sense. Parameters. Okay, the parameters set in my project description. So now the question is, how well did you describe your project? So we're just kind of bouncing around. I don't know, what is this going to show us? Now, I think the first time it came out, this was centered, and it was more like a banner. And then there were actually supposed to be 2 text boxes on this. And the first edition had 2 text boxes. I should have taken screenshots. So you can see the learn elements. So then you navigate to this page, and then these buttons are missing. So there's just a bunch of stuff that's missing. The banner disappears. But that's not the first thing that happened. Do you have enough information based on the following description of the home page to create all code we need to get started, keeping in mind the project description? And I want to make a home screen designed by using simple and best practice. See, it's I just use words that don't even make sense. When you read it, and then, I have to tell people, in this video, when I'm hey guys, this is actually what happened. Suddenly, I'm much more critical of my work, and I'm oh boy, looks like I didn't try that hard. Yeah, it's true. I didn't really try that hard, but the thing is that at this point, you're not really trying to try hard. You're trying to just do what you can, just to keep going, because you don't want to stop. So I have this crazy description. I want the home page to be page 1 of the application. Page 1 is menu 1 of the application. It only has text boxes, navigation buttons all the way in front of the home page is page 1. The actual name is learn and do, which I found out you can't really do. They need it to be called home page or something. I don't know. I don't really get that. Or maybe they can change the name. I'm not really sure. Why can't I change it here? But I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with the terminal or the way that the internet works. It has to be called homepage. I don't know. So I could ask it, but at this point I don't care. On the learn and do page, a user can only read text from text boxes and then click one of the navigation buttons. If the user clicks the navigation button learn, menu 2, menu 3, The navigation elements. I mean, so obviously you can click pause if you want to read this. So based on your description, I'll provide the steps. So then we started up. So we created, that's when I created this templates section with the performance and then the HTML. Right? Yeah, exactly. This code uses Bootstrap CSS framework to create a responsive design that works well on mobile devices. You can further customize the styling as needed. Then I had to update the views and update. Then I got this thing. Now, all right, so on another page, I can't remember. I keep forgetting these terms, these codes. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Well, okay, we can just get ahead of ourselves because I don't think you want to sit here all day just listening to this craziness, especially since it's not working. Now, at the end of the day, what I realized is I have to create like some unified expressions. And then, so for example, I asked it. So at the end of the day, okay, wait. So what I was talking about just now is this. So terminal prompts, because I'm having a hard time with terminal prompts. But basically, these are the two that I use the most right now. So let's get rid of terminal prompts. I don't know. We got to get back to this somehow. Yeah, here's the app. You've seen all this in the other video. So basically, we're basically here. All right. So now I just cut and paste back and forth. It's like we were playing football, throwing the ball back and forth. And I just want you to walk me through the steps to create the home page because I had no idea what's going on. And also you can walk me through the steps from the earlier. Okay, so we got the home page. I don't even know. Okay, this is the performance app directory. Yeah, so you have to be able to understand that this concept right here, performance app, here. Where they're talking about this. So this is where, okay, so performance, you see performance app is here. And then you have this file called templates. And then templates has this performance app. And then we have the home page. And then also you can see resting under performance. So at the same level as templates, we also have views and URLs. All right. So that took a long time for that to kind of sink in. So then we're just throwing things back and forth. Continue next steps, starting with show me how to insure. Okay, then I go back to his previous steps, just asking how do I do this? Then I take the code and I just paste it back in, back and forth, back and forth. Then they're like, okay, should I do this first and how? So then it's like another thing in the instructions that they told me, and then I just follow it. And then, so this is out of the terminal. And it's like, great. Okay. So that's the thing is like, if you're working with the terminal, you can always just like cut and paste. And then you just cut and paste whatever's in that terminal. And then chat. And then the GPS. And then GPS tells us, and then the GPS tells, and then GPT tells us what the errors are and what's going on. All right, so let's create menu 2 and 3. Now, this is where we start having problems because we're trying to connect these different pages together. And honestly, like HTML, I took like one day or something. Like I looked at it once or twice, like in 2005, maybe 2006. I remember there was like, you open up, got the open bracket and the close bracket, and there was something about being bold, and you could change like the font and the size, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm starting to see like there's different ways to use words to explain all of these ideas. And then the text box for both menus look the same as and is in the same location on the page as the page purpose text box on page 1, similar to page 1. So this is all like just the way I explain things. And it's just, boom, it just gives it back. And, you get really excited, like, all right, you're giving me something. Make sure that you replace the placeholders with actual elements. So, because because he's just, I think at this point I was just getting some, yeah, bunch of stuff missing. So it's not getting the stuff I'm asking it to get, and then it'll just forget stuff. Like, so the further and further along, so this is me just pasting stuff back in, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a issue with this, and then, okay, so, you should add this content, and then I take it again, I cut and paste again. Oh, great, it's running without any issues. So, like, that's the troubleshooting, is to just kind of like put it back and forth, back and forth. The learn and do buttons on page do not navigate to menus 2 and 3. And then I don't know how to add this code you've already provided. Did you delete any of the text boxes? I feel like I'm talking to a child. Like, it's like, did you delete any text boxes? Like, what the? You omitted all the font, style, page placement, and objects from the code you provided from page 1 from the first time. Please collect all the code. And I'm just like, just do it. What are you? So at this point, it's like, I can't understand you. So it's like 100%. It can't do it with my current way of communicating with it. And so now the question is, the current code for the homepage does not have the same appearance as the page you originally designed. Much of the text has been altered. The text has been removed. Color has been omitted. Navigation button it seems you've not been able to achieve the level of development rigor I'd assumed you'd be capable based on your role as an assistant and a tutor that has access to the best code databases in the world. So I got this crazy judgmental attitude. I apologize for the confusion and any inconvenience caused. I am not as smart as you think. So how did you lose the code? How did you, you're supposed to be smart. Like, can't you? So now you can see I'm just like, all right, there's a problem here. I'm not communicating with it. It's not communicating with me. And I mean, maybe this is like all relationships. So there's like this compatibility issue. Now, in a world where you have little choice, then you have to deal with these compatibility issues. And since I'm an older person, then I can see that, and I can also learn, I'm learning, I know how I'm learning. It does not know how it's learning. I've repeatedly asked it to stop saying certain things or stop doing certain things, and it will reply with the same thing. It's like it will tell you, okay, so if you have any questions, just send me a message or something. And I'll be like, can you stop saying this at the end of your messages? And it's like, okay, so if you have any, and it's like, oh my goodness, you just said, and I'm like, I can prove it that you're not aware of yourself. I can prove it that you don't even understand your own programming and you don't understand your limitations. And then I said, I guarantee you that within the next 3 posts, you will not be able to stop yourself from saying this sentence or some kind of iteration of that sentence. And then it like used that iteration in the following sentence. So I was like, this is not that great, unless you know what you're doing. So now I'm in the process of okay, so how can I improve my ability to create prompts? So now we're going into real prompt engineering. This is getting worse and worse. Buttons are missing. Navigation doesn't work. Can you take all the description I provided above, create an optimized description below that would enable to create the result so now I'm starting to glitz out. This is crazy. Anyways, so then it's interesting because it's okay, there's a banner with the title, there's a paragraph, there's 2 navigation buttons. Then we have the elements page. So we got the banner. And then I'm like, what? You're missing. We need more information than that. So if we think about HTML, well, you have all the elements. That's exactly how HTML works. So at this point, I'm like, well, I should just learn HTML because all right. So now I would say that at this point, GPT is like Google Translator. Because what it's really doing is that, you know how many times? So I had to do it 3 times. So now it's starting to add background color, centered adding some of that, and then. But I remember, I'm supposed to have this banner is supposed to be the same on all the pages, and then suddenly the banner is completely different text. Yeah, maybe it looks the same with the font and size and style, but it's lost the idea that there's supposed to be a unified banner. Yeah. So at this point, I was like, okay, forget it. This is not working. I can't do this anymore. What I need to do is I need to learn how it thinks and speaks, and then I need to draft my query in a way that it can understand. And that means like the question is, okay, do I need HTML? Is that what's going to do it? Like, do I have to learn HTML? Well, that's the point. Like, why would I learn HTML? The whole point of this exercise was to try to be able to do this without having to learn code myself. So, but I mean, if we talk about the concept, let's talk again about OOP. So we're talking about object-oriented programming. So that means we have to talk about the objects, and then what each of the objects will do. And I need to add all of the elements of these objects. Otherwise, it's just not going to give me anything close to what I want. Now, the difficult thing about this process is that this is only text boxes and navigation buttons. So when we get to input boxes and then printing the input box onto another page, that means like basically what I have to do is I have to have all the pages. I have to have all of my natural language programming text prepared with like in one section, basically. Like, because GPT doesn't like giving it different sections, pieces of sections. What it wants is it wants the whole thing at one time, and then I don't know. Well, maybe I don't even know yet. So, yeah. So I'm not even. Where am I now? So sent on the MVP. I had hoped to send it tonight. I got to meet up with two people. I got two of my students are coming to chat, and then I got to go for a run still. I'm not going to live a life of no exercise and self-actualization. So what's going on? Using the journal, turn these into code. So I have to change this actually. So yeah, I have to create natural language programming in a way that GPT can understand. So that's what we're doing right now. And I'm not going to go into this performance booster. Let's see if we can get into this tomorrow, probably. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, lighten up. I also had this crazy French lesson, and man, the girl was a new teacher, and she just had no idea what she's doing, and she just was like speaking English the entire time, and I spoke like 5 French words in an hour, and I realized that she has no idea how to interface with me, and then I took that. Then I realized there's like a symmetry between these experiences. All right, I'm Blaine Gates. See you later.